important too is we're going through these objections to remember not everything that comes out of somebody's mouth is truly what they're thinking. A lot of times it's the justification for something they really want to do, and they're handing you a justification. So maybe they're just overwhelmed with the buying process. Maybe it's too much. Maybe they can't imagine owning a $400,000 home when everyone in their family that they've ever known has owned a $200,000 home or less. This is a whole new price bracket. Maybe they can't wrap their head around that all, but instead of explaining the feelings of being overwhelmed, they simply tell you prices are high or rates are high, right? So it's really important as professionals, you've got to build that relationship on day one, or you can't get into these deeper conversations. You've got to build that trust. And when you get into these situations, don't just take what they say on the surface as their true response. Dig into a little bit. I mean, some of you guys have kids, right? When your kids tell you stuff, is it always 100% true? Or is there some sort of meaning deeper that they're giving you the thing that kind of feeds into their ego and makes them feel a little bit better about it, right? So just kind of digging deep. Is it comfortable? No. But if you've got a good relationship with these people, it should be more comfortable, right?
So our competition, our direct competition, Redfin, Zillow, and all these other guys with Realtor.com, they're spending money here. But where we win is if we go into the niches, into the long tail keywords, right? So here, I wanted to show you that. Let me go back to this, because as soon as the ad pops up, I click on it.
What's up, everyone? How are we doing? Mark here. I got Robert with REDX over here as well, and Joe Rosen over here as well. Hey, how you doing, Joe?
Doing amazing, man. How are you?
Doing well, doing well. Thanks for being on. We're happy to have you.
I appreciate it. It's an honor.
All right, good deal. Good deal. For everyone jumping in into the webinar, we'd love to see where you're from. Go ahead and type in where you're listening from. All right. So, Joe, what's going on today? Where are you coming in from?
I'm down in Port St. Lucie, Florida, man. About 93, 94 degrees today. It's hot.
Nice.
Yeah.
With 110% humidity. That's
yeah, and I'm a big guy, and I chose to wear a suit. So
yeah, you got a coat on, man.
Makes
That's
sense.
not a good idea.
Well, hopefully there's some AC up in there.
Yes, luckily the AC is working just fine.
All right, cool, awesome, very good. Well, I'm over in Malibu, California, with Tristian and Robert. We know where you are. You're in your office.
Yeah, so yeah, you can see it's Mount Timpanogos, what it's called, behind me in Provo, Utah. So
nice, good deal, cool, awesome. Well, let's go ahead and jump in. Joe, kind of wanted to talk today about where the current market is at and kind of what you and your team are seeing as far as objections now from current buyers and sellers. There's a lot of chit chat about what the market's doing, the news, the media, so on and so forth. So let's go ahead and talk about it with an expert like yourself. What are some of the current objections that you are hearing?
Well, I love that you opened it that way, right? Talking about the media and everything else, because I'll go a little bit into stats. I'm a stats nerd, just to kind of frame the conversation here, and then the objections I bring up will make sense. But when you add to a changing market, whether it's changing up or changing down, the media and the rumors, and we're all in a million Facebook groups with real estate, it just snowballs into an even bigger thing, both on the bad side and the good side, right? When it gets good, it gets real good real quick. It goes both ways. But yeah, we're seeing that. So statistically, down here in Port St. Lucie is probably about 210, 220,000 people. We're north of Miami, about 2 hours, north of West Palm Beach, about 50 minutes. And we're right on the beach, right? And we have a lot of people who've come down over the last 2-3 years from New York, New Jersey. We've had some come from California. So we've been one of the hottest states in the nation for a slew of different reasons. And of course, as real estate agents, we love that. That's great. But I'll tell you, this isn't a small city, 210, 220,000 people. It's a pretty good sized city. And in this city, just 4 months ago, in fact, this stat is taken from March 26th. We had 365 active single family home listings, 365, right? In a town of 210. That's not a lot. Just in 4 months, we're almost up to 1,100 listings. So it's gone up over 3 times, and it doesn't look like the trend is slowing. So we're seeing that go up quite a bit. Looking at inventory, we were at about 25 days worth of inventory 4 months ago. Now we're looking at about 90 days worth of inventory. So we're seeing more of a neutral market than a seller's market. And again, that trend keeps going in the same direction. So if it continues that way, maybe we'll get into a buyer's market. You never know, but that's certainly where the trend is going. So with that in mind, you've got a lot of different hurdles that pop up for us now as professionals, right? And really, I was in the Army for 10 years. And in the Army, you've got your gun, right? You've got your rifle. That's your weapon. In real estate, your weapon is your communication and your ability to overcome. I don't like saying overcome objections, because I think people get really focused on scripts. And I'm going to go over specific scripts that I wrote down because I know that's what people want. But really, it's having logical, open dialogue with people that you're working with who trust you. It's instilling confidence in them in whatever it is you're saying. And if you can do that, you can help them be successful in whatever it is they want to be successful in. So looking at that changing market, I've wrote down here 4 things that I'm hearing quite a bit. I got 3 for buyers, and we'll end with 1 for sellers. One is we want to offer $30,000 low, right? And with that, this is the only one I'm not really going to get deep into a script on, but I'm going to say anytime somebody wants to offer really low, I always like to say something like this. Robert, let me ask you, this home is, let's say it's 500 grand. It's $500,000. You know, tell me a little bit about that offer of 470 you want to make. And when he starts talking to me about his offer, I want to see where he's coming from. If he starts saying, well, I did my math on Zillow and I saw this sold and this sold and this sold for this and this and this, that's a pretty good argument. He might be right. But I'll tell you, 95% of buyers aren't saying that. 95% of buyers are saying, the market's changed, I want a deal. That's it. That's all the math that's been put into that, right? So I'll always say, okay, that's fair. That makes sense. I would want that too in a market like this, right? You always want to start by being amiable and confirming that you've heard what they said and that makes sense. Okay, great. And then kind of presenting the challenge you see with what they're saying, but more introspectively than coming at them. That's the trick, right? So I would say, you know what, Robert, we might offer 470 on this, just to find out it's only worth 450. Wouldn't that suck? That wouldn't be any fun. So I don't want you to pay 20 grand more than it's worth. In the same sense, this home might be worth 510, and these guys have it underpriced. But for whatever reason, marketing wise or MLS wise, enough buyers haven't seen it. I'd hate for you to lose to another offer on a home where we came in not just 30 grand under, but 40 grand under value. So maybe what we should do is do a market analysis, just like I do for a seller, and I'll show you exactly what the property's worth, even in these changing markets. What do you think of that? And then I'll pull you back to my office and we'll literally look through those numbers together. That way, if you see the home is worth 500, I'll say, hey, even in this changing market, comps are at 500. You know, so if you're arguing maybe they dropped 10, 20 grand, it was probably worth 510, 520 a while ago. But now market shows 500, right? So sometimes you can get them on board with that. I also like to show MLS data. I know in our market, I just looked this up the other day. I think it's roughly 70% of listings that sold in the last 30 days sold at 100% or more of asking price, right? So that's over 2/3 of homes are selling in this soft market. They're selling for asking price or above. And a lot of them are selling for 102, 103, 104%. So when you look at the 30 that aren't, it tends to be homes that are either way overpriced or they need a lot of repairs. So I'll say it, Robert, if you want to get a home for 30 grand under, we got to quit looking at these good looking houses. We got to start looking at houses that need repairs and they're way overpriced. Then I can get you a deal. Would you rather go look at those homes and get a deal, or do you want to look at these really nice ones, compete against more buyers because more people are interested, but we might have to pay 100 or maybe even a little bit more % of asking price, right? But really going back to the data, because remember, you're a salesman and they know you're a salesman. And even though they like, know, and trust you, you've got to sell them on the data because the data doesn't lie. And I get it. I'm a salesman, you know I'm a salesman, so let me revert to the data. How do you feel though, Mark, when I share that with you? Do you feel comfortable, or do you think, sounds like a sales pitch?
Yeah, so putting myself, obviously it's, and taking off the realtor hat and putting on the buyer hat, I would feel as if, you were providing me with something of value, not something of, a pitch or anything, right? Value.
Yep.
But yeah, I would feel like, hey, Joe is looking out for me. He's taking care of me. He wants to show me why this might be a good idea or why this might be a bad idea. Why I should be offering what the professional you is saying to offer, right?
Yep. Yeah, and I'll go too. I mean, some people just say, Joe, I don't care if it's worth 500 grand. I want to come in at 470. I want a deal. Mm-hmm. And I'll say, okay, that's understandable. We'll write that up because it's only going to take me 20 minutes to write that up. That's not a big deal. But let me ask you this, Robert. If we continue down this journey, I know that an offer at 470 on a home that's worth 500, it looks like this. It's probably got a lot of people interested. They're probably getting a lot of showings. It's dressed up nicely. All the things it needs going for it, it's got going for it. Your odds of getting an offer like that accepted, in my experience, are probably less than 5%. So we might need to present 20, 25, 30 of these types of offers to get one accepted. Are you okay getting a random home out of 20 to 30 homes and doing all that work, looking at maybe 100, 200 homes to get the 20, 30 offers in? Does that sound like, the strategy we want to go for? And if they say, well, no, that doesn't make any sense. Awesome. Let's try 500. If they say, well, yeah, I'm in it to get a deal, I'd say, great. Here's Mark's number. He's a Keller Williams agent. He's more than happy to help you. And I'd refer him to someone else, man. But so that's where I would go with. Some people just, my stepdad is one of them.
I was wondering where that was going to go. I was like, there's no way he's going to say, okay, great.
No. But some people just, my stepdad, it could be worth $1 million and they're asking 500 grand and he's going to offer 450. And if he doesn't get it, he's not bending. So, with those people, you got to be realistic and kind and professional, but you just got to kind of move them in another direction. But I'll hit on another one here, right? Rates are too high. I think we're going to wait for rates to come down. And like I said, I know everybody likes scripts, so I wrote this one out for you guys. This is exactly what I would say. And this is true, by the way, but it doesn't have to be true for you to use it, but stories help a lot. So if you don't have your own story, use mine. I got a buddy named Joe, right? It can start like that. Over the last 50 years, rates have averaged just over 7%, right? So looking at everything that I'm reading, there's a better chance that rates are going to remain the same or even increase over the coming year or two. So if you purchase and rates do come down, you're always able to refinance, right? What do they say? Marry the price, marry the home, date the rate, something like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So you're always able to refinance. However, if rates come down and prices continue to go up, you can't refi the price. That's not a thing, right? So and then you always want to end with an open-ended question. And I don't like yes or no questions. I love going to open-ended questions. So I'm going to say, how would it feel to lock in prices now while they're lower, even if it meant refinancing your rate down the road? And then just let them open up to you and tell you how that would feel. I love how would it feel questions, because if you can get emotions involved, that in my opinion is the best way to see a true reaction to how you would respond in that situation. So really just, here's the data. It's probably not going to, it could, nobody knows. But man, if you made the wrong decision, and I might even enter, depending upon their situation, if these guys are renting, I might say, what's your rent at? $2,500. What was it at 3 years ago? Joe, it was at $1,100. I can't believe they raised it $2,500. Okay, well, imagine if prices on houses continue to go up, rent's going to follow. Imagine if you get that phone call in a year and you're like, Joe, I'm going to keep renting. And then the landlord calls and says, hey, it's going to be $3,100 this year. And you're going to be like, whoa. And then when you call me, I'm going to say, rates are a little bit higher, prices have gone up, and you're going to be in the same boat you're in right now, right? So better to hop in now. And if you make a bad decision rate-wise, you can always change it up with a refi. But how do you feel about that? Does that feel good?
I like it a lot. And it makes sense. I mean, I talking to my friends, my relatives, they know I'm in real estate. So they call me, they say, hey, what do you think about this? And these are the kinds of things we talk about, right? Not as a realtor that I'm going to go buy him a house, but I say the same thing. It's like, hey, do you need a house right now? Do you want a house right now? Well, here's what history looks like if you're waiting, and here are the choices you can make. But the market's the market.
I think it's important too, as we're going through these objections, to remember not everything that comes out of somebody's mouth is truly what they're thinking. A lot of times it's the justification for something they really want to do, and they're handing you a justification. So maybe they're just overwhelmed with the buying process. Maybe it's too much. Maybe they can't imagine owning a $400,000 home when everyone in their family that they've ever known has owned a $200,000 home or less. This is a whole new price bracket. Maybe they can't wrap their head around that all, but instead of explaining the feelings of being overwhelmed, they simply tell you prices are high or rates are high, right? So it's really important as professionals, you've got to build that relationship on day one, or you can't get into these deeper conversations. You've got to build that trust. And when you get into these situations, don't just take what they say on the surface as their true response. Dig into a little bit. I mean, some of you guys have kids, right? When your kids tell you stuff, is it always 100% true? Or is there some sort of meaning deeper that they're giving you the thing that kind of feeds into their ego and makes them feel a little bit better about it, right? So just kind of digging deep. Is it comfortable? No. But if you've got a good relationship with these people, it should be more comfortable, right? So the third one I'll go over, and this I messed up. I told you could use my stories. This is the one I meant you could use my story on. We're going to wait for the market to crash. I hear this one literally every day in my cold calls. We're going to wait for the market to crash, and then we're going to buy when the prices are lower, Joe. I'm like, oh man, this is awesome. Tell me where you got that crystal ball from. So this is the story that I share. And like I said, if you got a story, it's more powerful if you don't use somebody else's. My wife and I, this is true. My wife and I actually purchased last year. We purchased last July. And we were contemplating the exact same thing. Hey, what if prices come down? They've gone up so much. Let's wait. And after looking at the data, we found that the market has dropped 10% or more, a grand total of once over the last 70 years. And that was 2008. Other than that one time in the last 70 years, it's never gone down enough for me to want to start paying Robert's mortgage instead of paying my own down, right? If it goes down 1%, 2%, 3%, will I have wished I rented? No, I will have wished I bought and paid my mortgage down, and I just had a crappy year where I lost 2.5%, whatever. If it's 10% or more, that's where I'm gonna have wished I'd rented. And that's only happened 1 out of 70 times. And I'm not gonna take a gamble on 1 out of 70. Robert, do you feel like taking that gamble is smart? What do you think?
Yeah, man, that's a tough question to get. I think one of the tough things, and maybe Joe, this is where you go next, is our lived experience. Most people in the home buying ages right now lived 2008. So they're like, it will probably happen again, right? That might be a follow-up. Yeah, so it feels like, 1 in 70, but that I happen to live that 1 in 70 time. And that's why I think you hear it every day, right? Because a lot of people just think that they're going to take advantage of it this time. But as soon as you put it that way, then you really have to start, that person has to start thinking of like, okay, I lived a once in a lifetime thing. Do I really think I'm going to live a twice in a lifetime thing?
Yes.
Yep. Well, we also lived in a once in a lifetime thing, and that was a pandemic.
Yeah. We live all the once in a lifetime things apparently.
And quite frankly, during that once in a lifetime thing, a lot of people made a lot of money on their homes.
Yep.
A lot of money.
A lot of money.
So I mean, there's an argument to be made there.
Yeah. Yep. That makes complete sense. For me, with all of it, right? I'm not trying to push anybody to buy or sell ever. What I'm encouraging them to do is drop the emotion and drop the what ifs, and let's look at the actual data. What is the actual data telling us? And even data can be wrong because it's always what happened in the past, not necessarily what's going to happen in the future. But man, it's the best estimate at what you can imagine is going to happen in the future. So for me, it's just coming back to the data.
And I want to give a plug for Joe because I follow him on social media. So you should go find Joe, and he's mostly reporting about his market, but his market updates are some of the best out there to really understand, because it takes emotion out of it. When you're like, look, here's what inventory looks like. Here's how many days on market, and it changes from the panic, the headlines to reality, and it was great updates. So yeah, follow Joe. Go find him on Facebook, Instagram.
Joe, where do we find you on socials?
I appreciate you saying that, man. My Facebook is Joe Rosen Realtor. And my YouTube channel is The Joe Rosen Show. I got stuff for buyers, sellers, and realtors on there. We've probably got 200-300 videos by now. And then Instagram, it's just The Joe Rosen Show.
Yeah, cool. Gonna follow you. I'm gonna hit
I
that
appreciate that, man. Thank you. Thank you. All right, so I got one more for sellers.
Yep.
And this has been pretty common. And I just had one of my agents on my team bring this up today. Our home has been on the market for, pick your days, 30 days, and it hasn't sold. I think it's time for a new realtor, right? So again, here, I don't have a specific script, but I'm going to get into the 4 reasons a home doesn't sell, and I'm going to work it backwards. I'm going to say, okay, Robert, I fully understand that. I want to start off by saying this, and then I'm going to go back to the data about the inventory, right? We were spoiled, myself included, probably myself more than anybody, right? In that market we had 6 months, a year ago, 2 years ago, where you would list any property, didn't really matter what the price was. I didn't even have to take photos. I was getting 17 offers. They were all overpriced, and a lot of them didn't have inspections. It was awesome, man. So that's kind of what we're spoiled with, and I get it. I wish we were there too. I know you do. I wish I was, but we're not. And looking at the data, we've got to go back to your why, right? Do you still truly want to sell? And why do you want to sell? If your why isn't that strong, maybe we want to take the home off the market. But if your why is strong, and I'd revisit that specific why and what it is and kind of talk through that, then I would focus on what the solution is. Because you're talking about, maybe it's time for a new realtor. Whether you're with me or a new realtor, you're going to want to talk about what the solution moving forward is. You don't want to get a new realtor, do exactly what I'm doing and fail, right? So you want to find out what the solution is. So let's talk about the 4 reasons a home doesn't sell. Number 1 is marketing. On day 1, I showed you the robust marketing we had. And this is dependent on agents, right? You've got to have your marketing plan. If you don't have a marketing plan that blows your mind, right, that you're excited about investing dollars in because you get more dollars back, i.e. REDX. Dude, REDX, I know it sounds like I'm a salesman here. I don't give a damn if you get REDX, but I'm telling you right now, if you get REDX, it is the cheapest way to get your hand on the most amount of leads. And I'm going to even beat up on REDX here. Yeah, but Joe, circle prospecting leads, although they have other leads, right? But let's talk about circle prospecting. Circle prospecting leads are the toughest to convert. Absolutely. Absolutely. But here's the thing. Number 1, I can get in touch with 140 of them an hour. I can't do anything else at the rate of 140 an hour while I'm sitting in my boxers drinking a high C from my, I can't do that. You guys think I got pants on right now? I don't. I don't need them because I'm at home and I can call REDX at home, right? So number 1, I can get in touch with more people than you can ever get in touch with. Here's the other thing. When I get a circle prospecting lead, I can get them at 7%. I can get them to stage their house. I can get them to do a pre-listing inspection, and I can get them at the price I want. Why? Because I have no competition. If I want to go out and chase expireds and FSBOs and all those other things, which are phenomenal, you need better skills, way better skills, because they are low-hanging fruit, but everybody and their mother is coming after that lead. With circle prospecting, you're the only one, and nobody does it because they don't like doing it. If you do it, my gosh, you're going to be incredibly successful, and you're going to build up an incredibly robust CRM, right? So this isn't a pitch for REDX. I don't care who you use, but the whole thought should be, how do I get a massive amount, the most amount of leads into my CRM? I'm thinking I want all of Port St. Lucie in my CRM within 10 years. That's the goal. And I can't think of a faster way to do it than by using REDX. Mm-hmm. So really, man, I just got way off page here because I got so excited about REDX. I'm sorry. But anyway, coming back to it.
That's totally fine.
So with these sellers, you've got to have something you are absolutely excited about. If I can tell Robert, listen, Robert, who else is going to make 500 calls to your neighbors? And no, I know your neighbors aren't going to buy your house, but I know their daughter is. I know their sister is. I know their mother is, because nobody wants them living in this neighborhood more than them, right? I'm going to call them. Nobody else is doing that. I promise you, right? And then I do this and I do this and whatever it is. So that robust marketing plan we talked about on day one, it's the same robust marketing plan. And I push you guys too as realtors. This is another discussion I have with a realtor of mine today. Don't change your marketing plan for one listing, right? If one listing says, Joe, I really need this. I don't know why we're not getting park benches. I deserve a park bench. I think it's absolutely, I get why you do it. You don't want to lose the listing. Oh my gosh, what if I lose a listing? I got it. But you should be selling yourself on your marketing plan on January 1st. And then that's what I do for the next 6 to 12 months. And I don't change it. And I'm testing it because maybe REDX rocks my socks off, but now for whatever reason, they're not. I don't know, right? I'll never know that unless I'm testing it. So you should implement whatever it is you're doing. I don't care if it's paid leads, REDX leads, networking groups, door knocking, test it over at least 6 to 12 months. And then keep the things that are working and get rid of it. Now, when I meet with a seller, I can say with confidence, and if I'm confident, I'm going to instill confidence in them. Robert, listen, this is what I use. This is why it excites me. You know what excites me? Because I know for every dollar I put in, I get $3 out. Man, does that fire me up, and it should fire you up too. I'm going to have more buyers than anybody else, not because they're coming to me, because I'm going out and I'm getting them, right? Don't you want a guy who goes out and gets them? So I am that guy. So marketing wise, we're covered.
Joe, I'm not even trying to sell my house right now, but I think I want you to sell my house.
Let's go. Yeah. I'm not licensed out there, but I'll get my license. So we've talked about marketing, right? What are the other three? How does your home look, right? And that's not just staging, although we'll start with staging. How does your home look on the inside? Does it look sharp? Is your home clean? Do you have kids going around leaving crumbs on the floor all the time? Does it need touch up on the paint, right? Maybe we need a professional stager. Maybe it's vacant and we need to pay somebody to get some furniture in here for 30 to 60 days. And while it sucks to pay that amount of money, if we can look at the ROI and we can see that we make the ROI, why wouldn't you want to do that, right? So that's the inside. What about the outside? What's the landscaping look like? All right. How, like, are all of the driveway and the walkway up to the house and the roof and the siding and the brick and everything else, are they all power washed? What does the roof look like, right? Maybe small repairs that you need to get done, maybe big repairs that you need to get done. A lot of these things can make your house look better. What about my job? Because I got part of this too, the MLS. How many times do we go in as realtors and you see a home that you know is worth about $1 million and it's listed for 115 grand and they forgot to add a zero? That's a problem. Or maybe it's worth 500 grand, but it's listed for 5 million because they hit the zero too many times. Or maybe it's listed as a 2-bed, but really it's a 3-bed. There's a lot of little errors that we as humans will make, right? It's a big deal to me. I make them too. To go back, I double check. I have my staff double check. I ask my sellers to double check. I want multiple eyes on that listing because on day one, that's the most important day, right? So I'm going to go back and I'm going to look at that. I think we also get in a bad habit as realtors of putting the most blasé, boring verbiage in there. Guys, quit selling the steak. They can see the steak, right? The steak is, it's a 4-bed, 3-bath with 3,000 square feet. They got it. They did the search on Zillow. They found it because it had that. You don't need to tell them again. Tell them the sizzle, man. Tell them how they're going to feel when they come home at the end of the day. And they don't have to sit in front of the TV and watch the game. They can go out back in front of the pool, throw their sandals off. They can kick their feet up, grab a beer, and they can watch the game while overlooking their pool, which overlooks whatever other ridiculous thing is back there. Maybe Robert's Mountains, right? And sell the feeling of relaxation or joy and knowing that you've got a home that you can entertain people in, or pride because you're going to be able to have Christmas in this family room that's got 20-foot ceilings, whatever it is. Quit selling the steak and sell the sizzle, right? And if my sizzle ain't working after 30 days, go change the sizzle, man. It's not that tough to rewrite something up and try something new. So that's how does it look? And there, I'm gonna talk with the seller, like, let's talk about some of the things we've discussed already with your home and you haven't fixed them. Should we fix those things knowing that the home hasn't sold? Let's look at my MLS data. Do you see anything here that's inaccurate? Maybe it is. What do you think about my sizzle? Do we need to change it up? Right? So that's the second thing. Then we got the third thing. This one's my favorite. This one's my favorite. It's commission. Love commission, right? So I want to pay 4% commission. I shouldn't use numbers. I'm going to go to NAR jail here. I want to pay a low commission. All right. Okay, cool. Here's the deal. If we pay a low commission, a realtor sees that and they're probably not that excited. Maybe consciously, maybe subconsciously. So the amount of realtors you're getting interested in your property goes down. And the overwhelming majority of buyers are working with realtors. So that's going to be a problem right off the bat, right? Forget what I do, forget my value. We'll talk about that in a second. But just from a marketing standpoint, you've already got less interest. And you might say, well, Joe, it's such a hot market. I'm going to get buyers anyway. You're right. You will get buyers. But when you get buyers that come in, I can sway them to go to your neighbors that's exactly like yours, but let's say they got a bigger yard and you got a pool. And I can say, man, I can get your pool all day long. I know plenty of pool contractors, but I don't know anybody who can magically make your land bigger. I'd go after this one. And if you want to put a pool in, man, put a pool in later, right? But if it's the other way around, it's a pool, I can say, how exciting does that backyard look? How about this exciting? This one's got a pool. You've got 2 kids, Robert. You want the pool. It's up to you what you want to do, but I go for the pool. What do you think? Right? That's not that tough either. So it's really easy to push people towards the thing that's going to pay the higher commission. Now you might say, yeah, but Joe, my house is so amazing and the market's so hot. I know I'm going to get an offer on my house. Okay, maybe you're right. But now I've got Robert the buyer, and we've got those same 2 houses. One's got the bigger yard, one's got the pool. One's paying out a really good commission, one's not. And he wants to go after the one that's not. It's really easy to talk Robert into coming in 20 grand low. In fact, that's about the easiest thing I can do. He's good. You think so? I don't know. You'll never know if you don't try. Okay, sounds good. And so now that guy's getting all these horrible offers. Why are my offers sucking? I don't get it. Right? And the other guy is getting really strong offers, because what happens is when we fail over here, I'm going to take Robert over to this house that was number 2. And I'm going to say, listen, Robert, we know the market isn't as weak as we think it is, right? We looked at the data. It didn't work over there. We lost our number 1 house. I don't want to lose your number 2 house. Maybe we should come in 5-10 grand higher on this one to ensure that we beat out anybody else. So now this guy's getting 20 grand low. This guy's getting 5-10 grand high. Why? Because of the payout you're giving to realtors. So if you don't think that matters, you're nuts. It does matter. Even subconsciously, it matters. You know, you're looking as a realtor, you're like, oh, crap, man, I hope they don't buy this one. Now, what actions you take for that, it's different with every realtor, but it's absolutely part of it, right? And then the 4th thing is price, right? And that's where most of this is going to boil down to, assuming you've done your job and you've communicated and everything else, is, hey, listen, we've hit on marketing. Your home shows well. We've looked at the MLS listing. We've worked on the verbiage. The commission payouts are really high compared to everybody in the area. The only thing left is the price. And then I'm going to get into a CMA and I'm going to suggest a new price. Now, the CMA has to actually support whatever price I'm saying, but assuming that I think they can work on the price, that's where we're going to go with that. Now, that conversation is a tough conversation to have, and it's something I think you need to practice a lot. And I don't like giving a script for it other than those 4 things, right? Marketing, commission, how does it show, and price. If you can remember those 4 things, you don't have to remember all the pitches and everything. Just remember those bullets and it'll walk you through the conversation itself.
I love that. Marketing, commission, how does it look, and price? Love it. That is awesome. Well, we are just wrapping up here on this webinar today. Robert, do you have any questions?
Oh, I have a million questions if we had more time, because I like Joe answering questions. He's good at it. But I just want to shout out again, like I do follow Joe, and just like we heard today, on a daily basis, he's given great updates, and it's good to know the market, even if it's a different agent's market. You can see what they're doing and what's helping people be successful. There's so many people that have jumped into the industry in the last couple of years that, you know, for anyone who's been in 4 years plus, what's going on isn't that scary, because it's kind of almost normalizing, right? But for anyone that's been in the last 2 years, they might be afraid of some headlines, and you follow the data like Joe's told us, and it's a positive thing that's going on right now, that realtors with skills, with attitudes like Joe, and that know the data, everyone's going to do just fine.
Yeah. Yeah, and just, a pitch for you guys. I appreciate the pitch, but a pitch for you guys. And again, I don't care if you use REDX, but you've got to be on the phone having voice-to-voice conversations with people, number one. And number two, you got to dedicate a certain amount of time every day, 20, 30 minutes to improving your skills, myself included. I don't care if you sold 1 million houses, right? You've still got to improve on your skills, and you'll lose them if you don't keep doing it.
And Joe, where do you go for that? Where do you go to practice? Is it with your staff, or do you have like a coach, or?
I'll tell you something I've done that I think a lot of people think I'm being nice. That's part of it, but it's more for me than them, is I've got a group on Facebook called the 7-Eleven Accountability Group, right? 7:11, like the time. And every day I got to come up with something new for that group. It's mostly realtors, and it's something tangible, something we discuss that you can implement into your business, into your day, into your life, that's going to make you better, stronger, faster, more efficient, whatever. Well, I can't do that unless I've taken the time to think about it. They always say, do something until you're so good at it, you can teach it. Well, I'm not so good at all of these things I can teach them, but I will dedicate the time and effort to learning them so that I know by 7-Eleven tomorrow morning, I've got it ready. I'm on every morning, Monday through Friday at 7:11 a.m. We also have role playing within our organization. We usually have 20 to 30 agents. It's every morning, Monday through Friday from 8 to 8:30. And it's just role playing. And usually whoever's leading it will come in, and I lead it one day a week. We got some other leaders that lead it. We'll come in and give an objection. Maybe the objection is, hey, I'm a seller. Our house has been on the market 30 days. I want to fire you and get a new agent. How do you respond? And we'll walk them through that, but then we put them into breakout rooms in Zoom, and they go practice it with a different agent every day. So they're getting different responses, different skill levels, different paces. And like you guys know, I'm a really fast talker. I'm loud and energetic. If I get someone on the phone, just a little bit, if I get someone on the phone and they're like, whoa, you're not going to get Joe Rosen. I'm going to be like, hi, is this Annette? Yeah. Hey, Annette, it's Joe Rosen. I'm a local realtor. How are you? Like, you need to mimic what they're doing to give them the same vibe so they feel comfortable with you. But you got to get used to that. If people hear that, everybody listening to this right now is saying, that makes sense. We should do that. That helps. But then to go implement it is different, right? So if you want to implement it, the only way it's going to happen is through massive amounts of reps to where, oh man, Saban, right? With Alabama, Nick Saban says a lot of other teams do it until they get it right. We do it until we can't get it wrong. I think that's the way you should look at role play, and really any of your skills is just rehearsing something so many times. You're not even thinking. It's just part of your speech. It's part of who you are. It's part of your mannerisms, everything. So that role play is a big deal. And then we do training every Tuesday and Thursday. It's 11 to 12 o'clock. It's my whole team, but I also invite my whole organization. So if you're with us in our brokerage, but you're not on my team, you can still come. And it's different topics. We do the perfect open house, how to get expired listings, how to go after for sale by owners, how to market your listings, how to have your first buyer interview, bunch of different things that these guys maybe haven't been exposed to if they're newer agents, or if they just came to our brokerage, maybe they've been in 4, 6, 8 years, but they just haven't had the habits that we want to instill. We want to expose them to those habits. So we do that too. We also have listing boot camps once a quarter, and we have CMA boot camps once a quarter, two boot camps. And those boot camps are 9 to 4, 7 hours, and they're in person. But if you're in our organization and you're not local, we'll put you on Zoom. And literally with the listing boot camp, we got one Thursday. I walk you through my listing presentation. And I walk you through like a classroom, my listing presentation. And then I do it one time live with someone in the audience. And then we start picking people and they do it live and I'm the seller, right? So we can kind of critique them. And I tell everybody, don't critique them on the spot, write down your critique. And at the end, I want you to share it with them. 2 goods, 2 bads, and we're all going to improve, right? So we've got a really good culture of that. And then at the end, I've got all that stuff in Canva. If you attend, I give you the listing presentation. That's your gift for showing up, right? And then with the CMA boot camp, we go look at 3 houses together like a caravan. And then we come back to my place and quietly, everybody does their own CMA. And then we get 60 seconds to pitch it, not just the price, but why. And then we see kind of who's close. And we actually track those numbers. So when we do it the next quarter, my ops manager will tell us how close everybody was. It's kind of cool. It's fun.
That is cool. It's like a field day. Field day with Joe.
Exactly, man. Yeah. Put your seatbelt on. Let's go.
Yeah, that's cool. I like that. And for those who didn't catch it, this is being recorded. Joe Rosen Realtor on Facebook, and we have the Joe Rosen Show on YouTube and Instagram. His YouTube is actually plugged in to the chat. In closing, any questions, anyone? Robert?
I'm just happy to be here with Joe.
Yeah, we're gonna have to do a part
Right back at
two.
you guys.
We're gonna have to do a part two. And Joe, thank you for your service, by the way. 10 years in the Army, so thank you for that.
Absolutely. My pleasure.
All right, everyone. Well, thank you so much. Looking forward to the next one. We're gonna have to have you back, Joe.
I appreciate you, man.
All right, you too.